Hi there, this is a video on Venn diagrams with three events. Let's have a look at the first question. Okay, so there are 180 students at a college following a general course in computing. Students on the course can choose to take up to 3 extra options. So, as we're talking about 3 extra options, we want to set out our Venn diagram. So we should have 3 circles. Okay, so your circles should look a lot better than mine. And I'll just draw them with 3 different colours. Okay, so our red circle is going to be system support, which I'm going to annotate as SS. Our blue circle will be developing software, so annotate that as DS. And our purple will be networking over here. Okay, so where I'm going to start off is actually right at the bottom, where it's 4 take all 3 subjects. So if we talk about 4 take all 3 subjects, we're referring to this part of our Venn diagram. So I'm going to put a 4 there. And then we're going to work our way up. So I can tick this one off. 40 take up system support and networking. So if we are only looking at system support and networking is this overlap here. So it's only the overlap of 2 subjects, and that's 40 students. So if I know this whole space represents 40 students, I've got to remove this bit to allow me to work out how many lie in this region of our Venn diagram. So that's 36. So all I did was 40, take away the 4, which will just give me this 36. Right, for 28 students, networking and developing software. So I do something quite similar. So I look at developing software and networking. So that means it's this part we're looking at here. So if this space represents 28, then this space must represent 24. You're probably going to draw a much bigger, clearer Venn diagram. It's a little bit tricky for me on the computer. So that bit represents 24. Now, 35 students take up developing software and system support. So developing software and system support refers to this overlap where we have 35 for the whole region. So we've got to exclude this space. So we do 35 take away 4, which leaves me with 31. Okay, so I've now answered these sections of the diagram. Now I'm going to extract the information to tell me what these are. So 81 take up networking. So if 81 take up networking, that represents the whole space takes up networking. So what I need to do is 81 subtract 36 plus 4 plus 24. And that will tell me what that amount is. So 81 subtracts, you can do this on your calculator. 36 subtract 4 subtract 24 is going to give me 17. So it's 17 that should just be left in this space. So if you want to verify that, you can check that and add that all up. Okay, so I'm just going to rub out that calculation so you can use more of this space. So now we can start to interpret 70 take up developing software. So do feel free to pause the video and work this one out yourself. So if I do 70 take up developing software, I've got to take away these spaces to get me this space in my Venn diagram. So 70 take away 31, 4 and 24. So if you add them up all together and move it from 70, you can work that out on the calculator. And that will give me 11. So 11 is here. Okay, so now you've filled up that part of your Venn diagram. You can try and extract the last piece of information. Okay, so now 112 take-up system supports. 112 is this space. So you do 112, exclude these three regions. So I'm going to take away 31 and 4 and 36, and that should give me 41. So this is 41. Right, so now we have done this section. We've drawn our Venn diagram, but let's just quickly check. A Venn diagram must always contain a rectangle, and the rectangle represents all those that have not taken up any of the subjects. So let's complete this Venn diagram with a rectangle. Now, how do you check? And it's in one of these questions over here. How many students that are not participating in the have not taken up one of these options? Well, look, there's 180 students there, so you would have to do 180 minus everything that's represented in the Venn. So that's 41 plus 31 plus 4 plus 36 plus 24 plus 11 and plus 17. So just be very careful that you've included all of these items. There are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And then perform the calculation, 180. So you can do this along with me. Be really, really careful with these calculations. You could slip up and not choose numbers. So that should give me 16 outside. Okay, so we've drawn the Venn diagram. We need to find the probability that none of these three options were taken. So that's 16. So if you're writing it as a probability, that would be 16 over 180. And obviously, feel free to simplify that to 4 over 45. Okay. What are the chances of them choosing networking only? Well, probability of choosing networking only, well, how many people took up networking? That's 81 out of 180. So that is our first Venn diagram question. Okay, next question. You may want to pause the video and have a go, or feel free to keep on watching and work with me on this one. So we're looking at 3 events: rugby, football, and cricket. So I'm going to have to draw my circles up. This time I'll use green. We'll have a purple and a blue there. So now I'm going to annotate my diagram. So I'm going to choose rugby, football, and cricket. So remember, if you've ordered this and labelled this differently, your Venn diagram might be slightly different to mine. It might be a rotation of these things, but as long as you can interpret and put it in the right space. Okay, so let's have a look. First of all, we should start with plotting. So Sammy asked 60 people which sports they liked from rugby, football, and cricket. So let's just start off extracting the information. Okay, so right on top, I'm always going to quickly scan which one. We'll always start off with this space, which represents this space here, and that's if they like all 3 things, and that's right at the top. So that is 8. Right, 17 people like rugby and football. So rugby is here and football is here. So this space represents 17. So therefore I do 17, take away this 8, which is 9. So that helps me fill out that part of my Venn diagram. 13 people like football and cricket. So football is here, cricket is here. The overlap of them liking both is 8. If this space represents 13, then I've got to take away 13 I've got to take away the 8 from 13, and that will give me 5. So this space represents 5, so I'm going to tick that off. 19 people like rugby and cricket. So 19 people like rugby and cricket. So that means I've got it. This is 19 over here. Okay, so that this space must be represented by 11. Then combining that would give me the 19. 35 people like football. So 35 people like football altogether. So the calculation I would need to do is 35 take away 5 plus 8 plus 9, and that will give me 35 take away 22, which will give me 13. So 13 people like this. Okay, then I have 27 people like cricket. So this represents 27. So I'll need to do 27, subtract 11, subtract 8, subtract 5 will give me 3 over here. And then I've got my final space, which is a rugby. 30 people like rugby. I've got to do 30 minus 11 minus 9 and minus 8 will give me 2. So this entire space represents the 30. How many people like neither football, neither like rugby or football or cricket? So what I need to do is enclose my Venn diagram with a rectangle. Okay, and then figure out how many people are represented in my Venn diagram. So I've got to add up all these numbers. So you've got to do 13 plus 5 plus 8 plus 9 plus 3 plus 11 plus 2. So you can do that on the calculator. And obviously you can do that with me and verify my answers. And that represents 51 people in the Venn diagram. So if there are 60 people altogether, then we do 60 take away 51, which is 9. So that answers that question. So there are 9 people that don't like any of these things. And always be careful of that. Don't think that all of these numbers represent this. So here we go. We've got another question. So you can go ahead and try and pause the video to try to answer it, or you can just work with me on this one. Okay, so again, we've got a selection of 3 things. We've got tea, coffee, and milk. So I'll call this space tea, coffee, and milk. Not too much room on those overlaps there, so be careful that you make a better Venn diagram. So let's have a look. So 19 people like all 3 drinks, so 19 belongs right in the middle there. So let me just draw that better. So that space represents 19, so it's quite a tight space I'm writing in. 16 people like tea and coffee, but they do not like milk. Now this is very important. They've already stated they excluding milk from the tea and coffee. So if I look at tea and coffee, this space is what they're talking about. This space excludes milk, and that figure is 16. So therefore we don't need to do any subtraction there, because they've already said that this category excludes the milk. Therefore we don't need to remove it. And if you look at that figure, even if you did 16 take away 19, that will leave you with a negative. So something would be odd there. So if you do encounter that in the exam, then just make sure that you reread this part, because it will most likely mean that you don't need to do a subtraction. 21 people like coffee and milk. Okay, so we know 21 people like coffee and milk, so coffee and milk is here, and that space is 21, so therefore this must be 2. Yeah, so that combines to give me that 21. We've got another piece of information here. 24 people like tea and coffee. So tea and coffee, that's, sorry, tea and milk. Tea and milk is this space, which is 24. So this must be represented by 5. So now I've crossed out that bit. 40 people like coffee. So 40 people like coffee. Therefore, this entire blue circle is 40. So I've got to take away 16 and 19 and 2. So you can calculate that with me. So that's 40, subtract. You can work everything out in the bracket first by adding it all together and then subtracting it from 40. Or you can do 40, subtract 16, subtract 19, subtract 2. It gives you the same thing. And therefore, we get 3. So we've now interpreted that. Only one person likes milk. Only one person likes milk. So if you think about that, that means the milk liker doesn't like tea or coffee. So he just belongs there in that group. Okay. It says if we go back and have a look and draw our rectangle outside of our diagram, if you notice something that's slightly different from this one compared to the others, it says all 50 people like at least one of these drinks. So the question you need to ask yourself, is there going to be anything outside? And that is no. So the only information that it's missing is this top part. So you know everyone, the entire space of all of this region within the circles, it are the 50 people. So therefore we can quite easily now work out the t. So therefore what we need to do is add all the figures up that we have, and then remove them from 50. So we're going to do 50, take away 16, take away 19, take away 2, take away 5, take away 3, and take away 1, which leaves us with 4. So this on top is our 4. It said Amy selects at random one person of the 50. Work out the probability that they like tea. That this person likes tea. So it's everyone in the tea group that's here. So what you would need to do is the entire purple circle, you're going to need to add it up. So add your 4 plus 16 plus 19 plus 5. That's 44 people like tea out of a potential 50. Okay, so that was the end of the video. So hopefully that has been useful, and it's more